So the internet is just angry because I feel like they're just going to pick apart everything that you do and say. And there's certain people who do it more than others. And then people just jump on that bandwagon because they take people's words for exactly what it is without doing the research for themselves, without reading the article themselves, without going in deeper into it. And they'll just jump on that, like, cancel culture. I'm sorry. Wait, they're not calling it cancel culture. They're calling it accountability.
Where do you think that stems from? Because I see like you, okay, I see a lot of these posts on the internet. And then my thing is, and there's some individuals that I want to have conversations with in the future. If, that happens, that'd be fantastic. Because I want to understand the thinking behind what is being said to make sure that I'm not misinterpreting what they're saying and what they're defending, right? If that makes sense. I know that's broad in general, but you know what I'm talking about. So, and I'm not placing any judgment yet before I have a one-on-one, if that happens, with individuals who may seem polarizing in this community, right? So that's all I have there. Go on.
And, there's certain circumstances where, people should be accountable for their actions, and their anger and disappointment is rarely justified. Majority of the time it is. I don't even know if majority of the time. I think it's a 50-50. Like, there's sometimes I feel like, okay, really? But anyways, in the case of Ninja, there are a few parties that didn't like the way he said it, the way he presented it. And, Black Girl Gamers, which is an account I follow, and I think they do amazing, great things. And they made a comment that he did it for, I guess, clout or just marketing, just to be like, the safe side of history.
Okay.
And then when
which one? The second thing or the first thing? Because the first thing was, I'm not playing with any women 1v1. That was the first thing. So which one are you referring to?
Oh, to him saying that it's not his job and it's the parents' job to talk about racism and white privilege.
Okay.
And that, everything he did at the peak I would say the peak of last year's Black Lives Matter movement was just all marketing. It was just performative.
That's what they're saying about him.
Yes. If we want to bring up exactly what was said.
Okay. Oh, this is about to get spicy. Oh my gosh.
So,
okay.
Black Girl Gamers, and I don't want to take their words out of context.
Okay, yeah, we're not bashing anybody. No, okay. Newsflash. Okay, good.
Or ideas and the way that you're seeing it from the outside looking in. So
okay, so where am I going? Where am I looking? Can you link me?
Yeah, I can.
Link me here, and then I'll open it up.
They quoted themselves. Their first tweet, tweet, was June 3rd, 2020.
Okay.
Black gamers and content creators know that your praise cosign is PR, and people will actively target you for it. Good night. And they quoted it, and they replied to their own tweet and says, "This is what happened in June. While content creators, including Ninja, used BLM as a marketing opportunity, and many lapped it up. We must be more diligent and stop getting giddy over simple gestures of performative solidarity." So, and everybody, during that time period, everybody was very much on board about not just Ninja, but any content creator company that was for the movement, who stood in solidarity. Then obviously, a lot of pay attention to these people and see what they do after. Are they still there? Are they still allies? Do they still stand up for it? Are they still vocal about it? And from my point of view, from my perspective of this, everything that's going on, everything that's said, because I'm not going to jump on anybody's conversations about this. It's more that he took issue that he won't use his platform, his influence to do those things. And does he have
Dr. Lupo? Question mark?
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess that's what they're hoping for, and that's what they're expecting. And again, doing those two different side by sides, it is Dr. Lupo's choice to do that. as
Okay.
well it is Ninja's choice to do it.
Okay.
And in reply to Black Girl Gamers, he asked, they quoted one of his tweets about talking about, the injustice that was happening for George Floyd. And he replied back to them saying, should I not have tweeted that or spoke out about it for months while it was ongoing? I donated tens of thousands of dollars to bailing out protesters and supporting the movement. And he ended it with sarcasm and said, my bad. He also went on to say that I've been working for months in the background on building gaming centers in underprivileged communities. Actions speak louder than words. I'm doing both. To say I talked out about injustice and BLM for marketing PR purposes is overly offensive. Somebody replied to him and says, what's overly offensive is that you think you've done your part by doing a few good things with your platform. You can do a lot more and do better. Justifying bare minimum actions is lame.
Okay.
And the thing is, the person that replied to him for that is not Black Girl Gamers. It was just somebody else going on that conversation, giving their own opinions and their own statements and their own viewpoints. Bare minimum to me.
You tried so hard.
Bare minimum to me.
Yeah.
Is the person who posted, the black box on their social media for that Blackout Tuesday.
Okay.
And their little hashtag BLM. And that barely even counts.
Right.
The fact that he didn't openly advertise that he was donating this money or forced any media outlet to advertise that he was building gaming centers, put in all that money. I don't know how much money it is. The fact that he put in money and even several $1,000s, that's a lot.
Right.
That's a lot more than the typical person can. But then they're saying he can do more. He's not using that I didn't see, and somebody can correct me. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I didn't see anywhere where that was being advertised and forced down our throat. Like, look what I did for BLM. Look what I'm continuing to do for BLM. Look what I'm doing for the Black community. No, he did it on his own without having or wanting all of that marketing, without having all that PR, because he felt it was the right thing to do. And I think it was, because if he did that, he would have gotten so much hate for it. But somebody said, oh, nice for throwing that money in our face. So it's like, to me, it's like, damned if he did, damned if you don't.
True.
So it's like, he doing those things is too little. But the fact is, like, the other part is the fact that people are also like just getting on him because he's like, well, you have all these kids watching you.
It's a big responsibility.
You should be talking to them about your white privilege, and you should be talking about them about racism. And the thing is, just as TV isn't meant there to be parenting your kids, neither is streaming and streamers. We all have the option to do those things, but it can be really hard and can be really touchy subject. And is racism bad? 100%. Would I love everybody to just love everyone? Of course I would. But I will never put it on somebody, yet alone a stranger, just because my son happens to like watching him, to teach my son that. That is my responsibility.
Is that an example? Is that true? Does he watch him? I'm just making sure, like, how you're speaking right now.
No, my son doesn't watch him.
Okay, so that was an example. Got it. Okay. See, I'm just making sure. Okay, cool.
My son doesn't watch him. Like, maybe he does like a couple things, but not like every single day. Like, you might watch a couple clips from him, but that's it. Like, even if it wasn't him, even if it was my son's favorite content creator or artist, musician, I wouldn't expect my son that. But I would want my son to see examples of his favorite content creators or artists making a change in the world. So the fact that he is donating that money or building up these centers, that's awesome. You're using what you have to do something positive. And I feel for him, because there's nothing he can possibly say. Literally nothing that will ever appease to anybody. And that's the thing, when you get to that level of fame, that level of influence, you just gotta just continue doing what you're doing and just have a strong enough support system to remind you, like, you are a good person. You're doing good things. And that's not just Ninja. That's like anybody. If you feel that what you're doing, your actions have a positive value and a positive impact on people's lives, just because someone tells you it's not enough doesn't discredit what you did. And he brings up some good points. Like, there are a lot of parents who are very disconnected from their kids and who they are and what they do. And that's really hard in this digital age. And he brings up a good point. Like, you want to know what type of person that your kid is? Listen to him playing games. Listen to him how he talks to his friends. Listen to the way he interacts with people. Watch that. And I don't know why it bothers me, because it's just like, I feel like right now at this point, like there's no end to people on the internet just getting mad about stuff. And it can be really exhausting that I'm like, all right now I need to mute you because this is just kind of
You're muting people?
Yeah. And here's the thing too. Okay, obviously Ninja's white. He can't have that. That man is pale.
He's Chicago white.
Okay. I've seen people in the Black community get mad when a white man speaks on their behalf, or about racism, about oppression. I think there has to be a whole class for a white person to be able to have these conversations without, like, even when they're not trying to be offensive and they're trying to be respectful, certain things just don't come out right coming out of a white person.
Depending on where they were raised.
Well, yeah. But it's hard because obviously the white community hasn't had to live through that. They don't understand that. They don't fully grasp the entire racism part of it. And it's almost safer to be like, I'd rather do my actions as an ally and do what I can to support the POC community than speak for them. What I do think he should have done was that if he feels like he can't talk on it, or if he does, there's nothing that says that he isn't comfortable talking about it. Because he has on his stream before, but not like he had a whole seminar about it. It's not like he had a whole speech and like set up his own little TED talk for it. But I could believe when you're at that level, it's like, okay, I can really screw this up. You know what? Why don't I bring on, another friend of mine, another Black content creator to talk to you about this? Let's have a discussion. Let's put this out there. Like, I think he should have brought people to the table to be like, hey, these voices are not being heard enough. And it's not just streaming. It's not to play games with them. It's actually talk on this topic. And again, even that is an option for him. But I think that would have been, something that would have been great for him to do, or even to still do at this time. And I think the other thing is that some people are picking apart that he brought up that he feels that people who come into his chat who have, racial slurs, rude like that, the fact that he thinks that, they're trolling. I'm sorry. I am like 99.999% sure that when a content creator has somebody new that comes into their chat and that person is commenting and it seems a little bit weird, doesn't seem natural, this conversation this person's having in your chat, your first thought is going to be that they're trolls. Even of those people who make those usernames that try to get you to say slurs. They think they're being witty. Troll.
They do think they're being witty.
A kid that needs to have a talk about how, they're being racist. Most of my time, I'm not even thinking it's a kid. I think it's a bored adult who thinks it's funny. I'm not going to personally take that time and give that person an ounce of my attention if that's where they're at. I think if somebody came into, and I'm not even just talking about Ninja, I think for any general content creator, if somebody came into their chat, whoever you may be, whatever streamer you may be, whatever platform you may be on, and asked, like, I don't understand why the Black community is upset. I don't understand this. Like, and you can definitely tell sometimes when there's somebody comes in who just doesn't understand something, a hot topic that's going on. Sure, have that conversation. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it in a chat. Let's talk about it live. And they're down for it. I cannot.
That nearly came to pod, guys. Pay attention.
I cannot. Okay, I've been trying to wrap how I want to say this, and I don't know if it will come off as offensive or not. So again, I will state, I want.
Okay, wait, before you say what you're going to say. Think about the motive, and
Is good.
I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying think about the motive and the perception of it. But go ahead.
Okay. So, full disclosure again, reminder, I am completely against any racist, any sort of racism. So, with that being said, and I apologize if I offend anybody on either side of this. Children are a product of their environment. They're a product of their parents. They're a product of their family. So
I agree with that.
Regardless of however way that they were raised.
And that's dynamic. We can say that's dynamic, right? So I agree with that.
Whatever's within their home, whatever their environment is normal to them.
By observation, they're going to pick up a lot of that stuff.
Yes.
I agree with that. And
sadly,
facts.
Sometimes racism is part of that. And
subtle nuances of parents' conversations and jokes that are said early at an early age, discretion that isn't received by the child or gained by the child until a later date. Those deposits can affect the child. Sure.
Yeah. So they're not going to see that as a bad thing. This is what my parents are like. My parents don't like black people. I don't know why they don't like black people, but they don't. So there must be something that I must be following along with. It's most cases in those circumstances, because I have met people that are like that, and they never thought a second thought about it. And then there's some parents who are just straight up racist and teach that racism to their children on purpose.
It passes down, yeah.
And that if anybody ever told them any otherwise, like, that's just wrong.
It's passed down and also inherited, depending on the family. Sure.
I don't feel like it's my place to butt in a way.
But
is it wrong? Do I see it as wrong? Yes.
Okay.
But that is just about, man, this is like really hard how I want to put this too. Do I want to teach this child that the way that they're learning just isn't right? Of course I do. But having a conversation with a complete stranger on the internet isn't going to get that message across. And for those children who, get raised like that, sometimes it's going to take an ass whooping. I'm sorry. Like meeting the wrong person at the wrong time. Or just to see how much they hurt people by, having that mindset. Kids don't care what you say to them on the internet, even if you have full intentions of like trying to make them a better person. Once they turn off that computer, close that phone, they're back in their environment within there, because it's hard. It's more of the emotional impact that a person needs to see that their action is wrong. And I feel that having an emotional impact on a child on stream is completely lost.
I don't think that was a harsh take, what you said.
Okay, well, here's two other examples.
Okay.
It can be really hard.
Okay.
So a while back, there was an issue. Oh man, there was an issue with somebody preaching to a kid on the internet. Okay.
Like church preaching, or?
Yes.
Okay.
And telling him that it was wrong, and that, his faith and belief is wrong, and that he will go to hell if he, doesn't, I believe it was he a Christian? I think he was a Christian. And he felt he was doing his job by, that was how he was, doing his place in the service of God. And so many people
That's always a hard subject to talk about, though.
It is. It is a hard subject.
Any theology is hard to talk about.
Yes.
And I'm speaking as a believer. So go ahead.
But he felt he was doing good. And I'm sure he had good intentions. Like, I don't think that people who of faith have ill intentions about wanting to speak.
People to be saved.
Belief.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody took an issue with that. Parents took up issue with that.
Was it forced, or was it a conversation? Was it a conversation, or was it like they're talking down to somebody, or was it?
Well, he came off as talking down to this kid.
Okay. All right. Right. Okay.
But everybody took an issue with that. Like, you're not going to teach my kid religion. You're not going to teach him this. But you want Ninja to teach your kid racism. Do you want your kid, your streamer here, to teach your kid about why racism is bad, why white privilege is bad? But you can't have this priest talking about God.
Well, I didn't see that being something we would talk about today, but that's interesting. Okay, go on.
Streamers are there to entertain. We're not educators. We're not teachers.
I disagree with the second part. We
We're
are
not educators?
we are educators. So now like, cause I believe I'm an educator, especially in the realm of what I talk about typically. It just happens to be that way. So I guess that's why I give a little bit pushback on that.
There's content creators that can be entertainers, but streamers playing video games in Ninja sense who just play strictly games and that's their prime content. I mean,
why are you separating it though? That's what I want to know. Why are you saying
there's different types? There's different types of content creators.
So are we talking about content creators who are streamers? Or are we talking about, of course there's like, bloggers who just blog. There's podcasters who just pod. There's streamers who just stream. So how are we doing that?
I'm taking in the realm for right now for this conversation because it's about Ninja and this whole thing. Using
a content creator who streams, who has a brand that has extended to retail shelves. We're talking about Ninja.
Yeah.
Right. Whether he wants to be a role model or not. You know what I'm saying? Like,
he just fell into that role.
You're just, bro, congratulations. Okay. So it's the reason I say that is because the nuance of that is very, very difficult, but go ahead.
And it's just to put that there and on somebody, like, I think even when he was, being vocal on Twitter about the Black Lives Matter movement, first of all, there are people who are upset at him for even saying anything about it. Like, dude, you're a gamer, just play games. Now suddenly you're an influencer, talk about these things. Like, what? Like, how do you just do a whole 180? I don't get it.
So it's weird. So there's a lot to unpack. I don't know how much of it we're going to get to today, but, let's start with, okay. So as you know, since we've been great friends for a long time, I always take the approach of if this person, whoever they may be, right, were directly across from me via a milkshake or, just chilling out across the table at a diner, would I say the same things I say on social media to them at a diner? And I think for the most part, I would, right? I think we can agree with that. I would, right? So if I say something like, you complain about this stuff, but yet you're violating the regulations of this website, that doesn't make sense. I don't think that's a hot take if I said that to somebody, if they were doing that. No. I think I'm telling them the truth, right? So you can't cry that you need more money, but yet you just bought like half of, Target or any major store. Like that doesn't make sense. Right. So I think like when I start having conversations about things that could potentially be very, very sensitive, and we are talking about sensitive matters right now, I always want to pull back from the psychological standpoint. What is the motive of the leaders of these cult followings? What is the end goal? Right? If the end goal is not unity, then I think there's a problem, right? Because we're making some assumptions here. Everybody who's involved in conversations like this or anything similar to this, that we know everything that goes on in your life, Daniela, or my life, or Ninja's life. We do not know, okay, what's happening in the lives of these individuals that, for whatever success that they've had, have this pedestal that you want them to speak about things that they may not even necessarily feel that they are qualified to speak about, right? So it's like, you want me to talk about this, but I don't know what to say half of the time. The only thing I could do is put my money on it because I have a lot of it, right? And because I don't make a big banner that I did that, I'm not supporting anything in any way, shape, or form. So I always tread lightly with things like that. Any polarizing figure, and we have a few in our community right now. We got a few. We got a couple, and they stand out like a sore thumb, right? but I don't know them, a handful of them. I don't know them personally to really say I understand fully what their motives are when they're having certain conversations about things on social media. I have to pull back and say, you know what? Maybe one day, if it happens, we'll have a conversation about certain things. And I really want to talk about, well, what's the motive and the drive behind this conversation or that conversation, whatever it is, right? So Ninja is not raising our kids. We are. I don't think that's a bad thing to say. I don't see why that's wrong, but I do understand from the standpoint where, because you have such a large platform and anything you say, someone can actually make a decision on that, right? Because he used to do a lot of, foul language on his stream, and he curved that to be more brand friendly, right? So he understood the power of his influence to make those changes for his brand to be even more broad into the books and the t-shirts and the beanies and anything that he's selling at wherever he's selling those things, right? So he understood that, right? So does he owe a particular community, some kind of a big push for a particular conversation? I don't know. I don't know how to answer that. Like, does Dr. Lupo owe, a particular community to have conversations about it? And the interesting thing about Dr. Lupo, and I don't know the man, right, is he'll say stuff like, hey, you may not know me, but I'm Dr. Lupo. I don't think it's a small percentage of folks who are creating content right now. I think everybody has an idea who you are at this point, right? But the humility in that, I always respected. But does he have to speak on the things that he speaks on? He seems very, he seems to feel very strongly about those things that he speaks about when it relates to other communities, right? And you can only respect that. But I can also respect somebody who is not educated in certain matters, but don't push a cult after me to speak about something that I don't feel qualified to speak about. I'm not saying that's Ninja's case, but if it is, don't send, a war soldiers after me for me to talk about something that I'm still trying to understand myself, right? From his white Chicago perspective. Right? I don't know. I don't know. So when I'm thinking about these things, I'm watching people have conversations about these things. And I think that everybody has a place, to speak their mind, right? Because they've built these platforms to do so, their personal platforms, their personal brands. But I think it's very difficult, right, to have a conversation with someone like that if you're sending groups of mounted horsemen and women and after this person to say, hey, you need to say this. Why am I saying it though? Can I get some history on why this is? Oh, get the history on your own. But you're so passionate about me. Do you want me to direct me to some things? Maybe at least just give me one book. You don't have to give me a whole masterclass. Just give me a book that I could better understand what's happening. And I've seen that during the whole heat of the Black Lives Matter stuff. Some people will say, hey, you figure out the history on your own. I don't have to tell you what happened. And some folks will say, hey, you know what? You could start with this book. And then when you're done with that, I could suggest some other things. So some individuals are even more graceful in their approach as they're trying to educate other demographics that will never understand their experiences, right? So it's very, very interesting to me that if you are really trying to have a conversation with anybody like that, you gotta just come in with some grace. You know what I mean? He may not know. I don't fully understand everything. I know historically what we've gone through as a people, right? But I don't understand every nuance of every major figure that represented us and did the stuff. I know a few, but I don't have the full story either. So are we expecting someone who is not part of a particular demographic to have every answer and know everything about what's happening in a community and their struggles and what they're stressed out about and the difficulties about creating content or difficulties about being seen or difficulties about being represented. I don't know. Right. So you run across these individuals, you blast them on social media, and you happen to run into them at a burger joint at an event. What kind of conversations do you have then?
Ninja, please white-splain racism.
Yeah, like now you're seeing this person, and then the person, and if the person says, "Oh, I remember you," then you're mad that they didn't want to have a conversation because of the roadmap you set to even get to the table to talk to them. If they even allow you that conversation, because they don't have to, right? So I always try to tread softly. I'm not picking a side, because I always say, whenever someone says, well, this happened to me and that happened to me, I always say, well, did you ever consider that maybe you're wrong in this scenario? Because the answer is usually no, they have not considered that, right? So I always take that side to open up the conversation even more, because we always believe that we're right about what we're saying, even if we're hurting individuals in the process. And I don't think that's fair. And that's where I'm gonna lay it. I don't think that's fair. I think that if you really want to have conversations with individuals, any polarizing figure from any demographic right now, especially on the Twitch platforms and wherever, YouTube, wherever they may be, then you really have to take into account that if you ran into this person wherever, would you have that same energy towards them? And you don't even know them, but they will remember what you said. They may not remember exactly what you said, but they're going to remember how you made them feel. And they're going to remember that. Is that how you want to be remembered? I don't think so. So that's who I am. I like to take that approach. It's not a popular approach, but, that's what makes me me.
There is a few things. So yeah, I don't think people really take the other side of it to see if they're wrong. And I don't feel either side, where how Black Girl Gamers and the people within the community feel wrong. But I also don't feel that Ninja's wrong either. I think his choice to educate or to take that stance or to take that job on is his option. It's a choice. Just because he didn't choose it doesn't mean that he's against Black people or colored people. He took a whole different approach to it. What they're talking to people and wanting to ask, the question to better understand. And maybe you can answer this for me, because I would love to be able to ask these people that. So what does it really mean when people in the Black community state that they're too tired to teach about racism or to talk about it, or they don't feel it's their job to talk about racism?
Right.
But
you want me to answer that now? Or is there is there a part B? I just wondering if there's a part B.
I would love anybody to answer that, whether you be whether you be Black or any demographic.
Absolutely.
Person, like that I don't understand.
Okay.
Because I feel like it's everybody's job. It doesn't matter what, or not job really. It's like, kind of your own human.
So here's the thing, right? Let's talk about Gothics, because I consider her a friend.
Yeah, Gothics is awesome.
Okay. I consider her a friend. I'll say it again. Whenever somebody's polarizing in the community, I always wonder why they're polarizing. And I'm always intrigued about that, right? To the point where I would like to have a conversation with them, right? And I've talked to Gothics before. I think she's an incredible human being, in so many ways, so many facets, very intelligent, very in the moment. And, that has come through pain, right? I took the time to do the research of what took place in her situation the last 2 years, a year and a half, however long it's been. After a while, when something has happened to you, okay, so just setting the stage on that a little bit. If someone really wants to know what took place, they can do that work, because I am tired of doing that work. You understand what I'm saying? Like through the hurt, through the pain, through the people that said they were with me, not with me, through the people that says, you know, I'm over the top or I'm not, through the people who said I'm trashed, I'm tired. Just Google it. That's that, right? So now we're magnifying that with, you know, slavery and all those different things, right? From generational, what we know about, you know, great parents, right? If we follow that line, right? And then all the way down to my personal experiences about being pulled over, you know, growing up in Brooklyn, New York, being followed in stores, you know, being pulled over for no reason at all, right? And everybody looks at you different. They talk to you different, right? Oh, you speak well. Well, why shouldn't I speak well? I went to school just like you did, right? They pick everybody for it, right? So all those things compounded to whenever you look at me, I'm always less than, right? You don't assume that I know about stocks. You don't assume that I know about history. You don't assume that I know anything about anything. You just assume, like I posted earlier today, that I hold a controller in my hand. I know nothing about marketing. I know nothing about social media. I know nothing about business development. Right? So you just make all these assumptions, but you assume always that the white person always know about these things, right? Right? But when you look at even the demographics of serial killers, you always assume that every white guy is the nice white guy, but most of them have been, historically speaking, the serial killers of our times, right? But we're the bad guy. We're the enemy. So I think that comes from all those things, personal, the nuances, every time I'm driving, a cop passes by, I look at my mirror to see if he's going to turn around. Not because he needs to turn around because I did something wrong. It's just part of the culture, because sometimes they just turn around to pull you over for no reason. Why is it not the case this time? And again, I've mentioned before, where in my case, I've been pretty blessed. Most cop encounters, they either let me go or they argue with me without putting me in their car. You know, one time, one guy was like, get out. Let me show you where you did your infractions. You just don't hear that. That's unheard of. So I am the outlier and when it comes to certain situations. So, but the situations that were very, very, stressful to the mind, you don't want to deal. I don't need to worry about somebody following me at a Macy's because they think I'm going to grab a hoodie from the rack because they believe that every black person is a thief, right? So I think that's where it comes from. Compounded with all the different situations about, you know, your brother or your sister or your cousin who's a guy or your other cousins who are guys and they wild out, but they're making a bad example of what this demographic should look like, right? So then you have all these different situations in your family and then you have to go deal with the world. And then you're like, I got to teach you what we go through too? Nah, I'm not going to take the time to do that. Some people will, right? Some people will. Some people say, hey, you know what? This is a great resource, at least to try to understand. But better yet, instead of understanding, just live in one of those communities for just a little while. You'll see it if you want to, right? So it's very, very layered. So the I'm tired, that's like a generational, like, just give me a break, man. I'm just trying to like not get shot today, right? And that's somebody's daily life right now. And we've seen a lot of people die over the dumbest things and they weren't even doing anything wrong, right? So that's where that comes from.
I guess I'm coming from the point where, okay, I completely understand that. And that makes sense to me. That makes 100% sense to me. For me, it's more of like, okay, I understand you're tired. We're now taking from your explanation. Okay, I get that you're tired, but like, I don't want to speak out of place. I don't want to give the wrong information. I don't want to downplay it. So I need to be educated on it, but I need to ask you.
Right.
Which in turn, you know, I get you're tired. You don't want to do it. Like, okay, I can Google all I want and read up on all of these things. But there's nothing that beats a one-on-one conversation for it to have that lasting impact and understanding.
Okay. So this may be a prejudice comment. I'm thinking about it in my mind and I'm going to let it out, right? Culturally for you, where you're from, that's baked in to pass those stories down generations, right? I could be wrong. So, okay, so I'm right. Okay, good. Woo. All right. That was woo. Woo. All right.
For me,
So,
I
right.
won't speak for all the Asians. For me and
Right.
my upbringing,
Right. That happens to be that case. Great. Fantastic. Okay. So, so and you want, anticipate those moments where people like dive in and tell you, historically how things have impacted them. Right. Some people can do that and some people can't do that. Right. And I think that there's a lot of individuals right now, I'll say in the last, couple of years, who have found their voice on how they want to speak and vocalize about things that they believe have oppressed them in their lives or in their families' lives, right? But not everybody's there. Some people are there. Not everybody's there. Some people will say, you know what? I don't get it, but y'all come on here and I'll just be quiet and just listen to the stories, right? Broman has done that, right? So we see individuals who are trying to understand. And, someone probably said, you know what? He's just doing that for clout. We don't know. That's not right. We don't know, right? That someone will take the time to use their platform, huge, to be like, hey, you know what? Y'all are my friends and y'all are black. So why don't you come here? Okay. So we can just hear what this is really about. Right. And some people take the time to do that. And I think that it seems like what the narrative is at times is that every black person should be able to have those conversations. To some degree, that's true to their experience, right? Because they tap out after their experience, right? But if they only been here for like 2 decades versus somebody who's been there 4, they only tap out at their experience in this current, internet age on how we consume information. So sometimes even their experience and not theirs, it's what they've gathered on the internet. So there's way more to it than that.
there's a lot of layers to it, and like just like you talking about that, just having that understanding, and like I said, it's just Ninja could have brought his anybody who's willing to talk on the subject that was of
Right.
The black community, Asian community, to
Right. I want to make sure.
on it,
Yeah.
to have that conversation, even
Right.
if it was like just something that's like one time thing, whether it be a podcast, a TED talk, or just on his own stream, anywhere it may have been. I don't know if that would have, if he actually did that, if this would be the same conversation they'd be having again.
Right. I just want to make sure I want to tie up loose ends though. Like when I mentioned the stuff about Gothics and how that's her experience, but certain other experience magnified. Did all make sense? Did I?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, good. Sweet. Okay, cool.
And for me, I guess I'm on the opposite end of that spectrum. There is like obviously I raised my son to have that, just to love everybody. That really it's the character of the person that, whether you're going to get to know somebody or not, the person is a jerk. The person's a jerk. Don't even waste your time. It doesn't matter what color they are. But I'm in this situation where I have to educate myself and I have to go and find somebody else to be able to have this conversation with my son, because my son is white passing. He's a mixed child and he definitely pulls the Caucasian side more than he does the white side. I'm going to be sending him out into the world.
He's white passing?
Yes.
That means he's passing for white?
Yeah.
Okay,
like,
got it.
Unless I straight up tell people that he is half Filipino Chinese, they just see a white kid. And like living here in Hawaii, my son was bullied for being a white kid.
Really?
Yeah, he was, like, really harshly.
That's interesting.
Maybe not like for maybe not to some other people, but yeah, it was really hard for him in elementary school, and really weird transition for him in middle school.
How does he identify?
Asian, I guess. I've never really asked him, really.
Okay, all right.
I never really did. It's like it's not even a conversation.
It's a weird question to ask, right? Because I could say Asian too, but I don't identify as Asian, even though my mom just like, rest in peace, she just looks like she was pure Asian. But so I know it's part of the bloodline. I just know how far. But yeah, go ahead.
But I'm sending my son off into the world. He's going to be on his own as an adult. and he's going to be living in the mainland, and for him to understand that because he is white passing, he has a white privilege that I don't have, and trying to explain that to him. And he's like, I don't understand. He's like, there are things that you can do, say, be, that if I tried any of those things, it would have been the same. And to get him to understand that, and for me to find those examples, he's like, it's difficult for me because that's a experience I've never gotten to have. And like, you know, when I was living in California, like I was like looked down, like if I was outside of my community, like no sense of respect whatsoever.
I don't get that, but
so
okay.
So like trying to explain that, I gotta find somebody. I gotta go find myself a white person to talk to my son about this. Like, yeah, I can try my best. I can give examples. And I've been doing that with my son for like years now. And he doesn't get it because he's not right now. He's not living that. Like even right now living in Hawaii, there's a very, okay, it's not practiced, but there's literally a day called Kill Haole Day. Haole mean foreigner. Foreigner mostly associated with white people.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not kidding you. So this was a day where majority of Caucasians, foreigners, which the thing is, still again, even though it said foreigners, that can apply to anybody. It was specifically to white people. And the term haole is mostly associated with white people who come here, whether they be visiting or living here, get a lot of crap.
Wow.
And I have coworkers that, you know, when they were in school, and we're talking about 60s and 70s up until I think the early 80s, where they would just single out that one white kid and beat him up that day. So living in Hawaii and having that, and even though obviously it's not a holiday, it's not a day or anything like that is observed, everybody knows what day that is. And everybody knows that if you're a local here and you live here and that term haole is used on you, it is almost offensive to them. But
that's crazy.
Right? It's really crazy. So my son has to live through that. And I have to remind my son that whatever bullying and whatever feels like he's being oppressed for here does not happen outside of the state of Hawaii.
It's not happening where he's going. That doesn't happen. That's wild.
And trying to get him to wrap his head around that. And I was like, I gotta find somebody else to do this.
By experience, he has to go.
Experience. I'm like, I can talk about it and explain it to him and remind him about it and just like do these examples all I possibly can and hope that, you know, it's going to click and he gets it and that he has this white privilege. And I guess that's where I'm also coming from on the flip side. The completely 180 of it is, how can I expect a white man to talk about racism and Black oppression in a way that is beyond his own personal experiences for people to understand, to grasp, to feel passionate about?
See, I knew you came to pod. Just your texts. I could tell by your texts when you got a different energy. I could tell. This is insane.
That's where I'm coming from in this.
Wow.
And I know talking about white privilege and racism are very, very two different things. And I'm just trying to wrap my head around it because even if it wasn't about the Black culture, Black oppression. Speaking as an Asian, I wouldn't want a white man talking on my behalf because yeah, you can go to school and be educated. There's so many colleges that give, you know, degrees on Black history, on Asian history, and all of these things. But that's a historical part of it. Do they feel that? Do they understand that? Do they fully grasp how incredibly important it is? And it's weird. It's like, I think in my head, and from my understanding, from my point of view, again, I don't think that everybody will have this. I want a direct conversation with somebody who has that. I ask you questions. I've asked you questions even off stream, like things like I don't understand, like it doesn't fit into my head about or wrap around it. And, you know, I think my first earliest thing about having to ask somebody about any type of oppression was 5th grade. We were learning about the Holocaust. And like, that was such a weird part of history. And it actually just really interested me And they were trying to explain about, why it was so terrible and why it was so bad. Like, yeah, okay. Million people died. All these things. But here's the world that's around me right now. Everybody seems happy and like it just never happened. For me to fully grasp the gravity of that event in our world history, my uncle is Jewish. His grandparents were in an internment camp. They're branded.
Wow.
I asked if I could have a conversation with them. 100%. They were open to it and they talked about it. They talked about the experience. It was hard, but they were open to it. And I was lucky that they were open to it.
Wow.
That is where I fully reading it in a book. At that time, because we didn't have the internet, we did, but we didn't have Google. We had to ask Jeeves and whatever people who wanted to put that subject out on the internet.
Right.
Being able to have that conversation is where I understood the gravity of it and really sunk in, and why it is such a terrible point of our history, and why it's also an important part of our history globally, not necessarily the U.S., but globally. And I sad part, but I was lucky to be able to have that talk. And from then, that is where I gravitate, where I would like to have conversations from all walks of life. So you just have that understanding. And again, that's why I think it's weird to feel that just because you have a platform, just because you have that influence, that it's their job to do that.
Yeah, there's a danger there. And I think with a lot of things that, I share and we talk about is, I try to walk the fine line until I understand how the person thinks before I make a judgment on their character. I think it's unfair for me to do that without speaking to them at all. And when I have an understanding of who they are and where they're coming from, it's easier for me to have, more thoughts on this. So I think that it's a sensitive topic. Ninja shouldn't be raising your kids, but if Ninja tells your kid to go to bed and the mom of that kid is not listening to the mom, but will listen to Ninja, I think the influence that influencers have over their viewers and their fans and their super fans is a big deal, which is why it's dangerous, because it's almost cultic to some degree. When you have followings like that, they're willing to hear anything that you have to say, do anything that you say. And, sometimes it's involving rushing a building and trying to break into it when you're not supposed to do that. So it could get crazy. Okay. So how we feeling?
That was a good start off topic there, huh?
Oh my. I think the other ones are pretty much quick hits. After that,
they're pretty mellow from here on out.
Goodness gracious, Daniela, really? That's the energy you bring in? Okay. All right. All right. So,
again, conversations need to be had.
Agree.
How they happen, that's really determined on the person.
Agree. And within that hour, I disagreed with you one time because I believe you're an educator. We can't run away from that.
Yeah, I don't know about educator.
Yeah.
Conversationalist.
Okay. We'll roll with it. So,
everything else sounds boring after that, huh? Absolutely.
I'm not even interested in talking about any of it. But we got to mention it. We got to mention it though. So let's start with Everspace 2. So they sent me that. I played that. It is fantastic. If I'll say it this way, by way of impressions, if Destiny had a flying game component, it would be Everspace 2.
Wow. Okay.
Absolutely. No doubt about that. Great game. There's looting involved. There's shooting involved. I don't know if there's crafting per se, but you can tell the color coding that I think goes back to Borderlands, the purple, the green, the white, uncommon, common, rare, right? Those color coding for the items that you pick up. Most looter shooter games have that now. Warframe has that as well. So that system is in there, but you're in a plane, or jet, whatever they call those things. And you could do like the warp speed through different planets and stuff like that. You could scavenge. You could do the dogfighting, like the Top Gun dogfighting thing, and the space and the space looks amazing, even though my GPU is like struggling to handle it, but it's fantastic. So impressions on Everspace 2. If you have an opportunity to play it, definitely play it. I think it's really, really good. I'm surprised.
That's definitely on my list. It really is.
Yeah. I played it till early this morning. Okay. It's bad. Okay. It's pretty bad. So there's that. Any thoughts on that?
No, I'm jealous if you actually got to try it out. Is it an open?
It's early.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how do you get it?
I got you.
Okay.
I got you. See, all you gotta do is ask. I got love for you, so I'm gonna tell you. So yeah, we'll make that happen. Okay, so Netflix Tomb Raider adaptation in the works. I don't know how I feel about that in terms of if I care or not right now. Do you?
I care. I
Okay.
would like to see it an adaptation. I think I can say I feel confident about Netflix handling it. I think the only project that Netflix is handling right now that I'm not confident on is live action Avatar. But The Last Airbender, yeah. So
I want to see before I say anything.
I think I just got to see past whatever that terrible movie was. But I got to be a little bit hopeful for it.
Oh,
but for the most part, I think I like majority of Netflix's shows.
They're doing pretty good. I must say they're doing pretty good.
So I'm looking forward to it. I'd like to see it. Can't wait to see a trailer.
All right, so there's that. That is an upcoming Denzel movie called The Little Things 2021. And it's Denzel and he's brilliant. So I know that's not in the notes. Exactly. Right. 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 So I'm like super pumped. That's like in 2 days. 1 day at this point based on the time. Okay. So you have that. Okay. So there was another big thing with Microsoft where, well, first things first, we hear Microsoft has announced a new total of 18 million monthly subscribers to Xbox Game Pass. I don't know. Okay. So, 18 million people are renting games.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
One good thing.
Okay. So
you got everyone ruin it. But anyways, go ahead.
Okay. So how many people on Netflix are renting movies?
Everybody.
It seems, I don't know the number. It's in the millions, right? How many?
Yeah, it's in the millions. But you
right.
know that you're renting a movie.
So how many Netflix? Do they even announce that? Netflix subscribers in the US. In the US. Okay. Number of Netflix paid streaming subscribers in the US. This is Q3 2011. So this is old. Okay. At the end of 2019 stood at 167 million. So there's 167 million individuals renting movies. There's 18 million monthly folks doing the renting the games. That's how I feel about it.
It's huge.
Yeah. And then they stop renting it and they don't own anything unless they buy the game at a discount or without a discount, right? So now,
why can't people wrap their head around that too?
I don't know. Okay. So Gears 5 has the new DLC free on Game Pass if you're renting, right? But since I don't have Game Pass, I got to buy it for $20. But if I buy it on Game Pass at a discount or off at retail, $20, I'll still have it when I no longer subscribe to the service. I don't know. I don't think people really understand the simplicity of what I just said. But Daniela, you got any thoughts on that?
How much more thoughts can you have on it? I think it's kind of pretty clear. Like, there's not much more that can be said about it, really. I mean, you're paying for a subscription. Hey, Netflix, you're paying for a subscription. You're playing the games that are available on this subscription. Hey, you're watching the shows on this subscription. Oh, I'm going to stop my subscription. You have no games. You have no show. What's so hard?
Okay, I'm going to push a little bit. Why do people make a big deal about this?
Entitlement?
Please help me. Please help me understand. Because there's a big deal about the beauty of the collection that you have and the options of, I can understand. But why are they making it seem like this is the best thing that ever came out of gaming? That's what I want to know. Because I don't see it.
The best thing that ever came out of gaming?
Yeah, like it's like the holy grail of the best marketing that was ever done by any company ever in the world. That's the vibe that I get on social when.
Hey, that's really, really huge. Was it what they are doing, continue to do? Yeah.
Right.
Game Pass is huge. It's great.
Right.
I don't know if I could say it's the best thing that ever happened.
Right. Right.
But, I think I can say it is really smart marketing. I think
It is.
really,
I totally
really
agree with that. I don't disagree with that.
I don't know about the word, but
Right. I don't disagree that once you understand how you need to pivot your business and you do, and it's super successful like this, I totally get that. I'm not like bashing that. What I'm trying to understand is that there's other subscription models and other, right, companies or genres of entertainment that is very similar to this, with the exception of you can't buy Netflix movies, right? I don't,
nope,
unless there's no way to do that. There's no way to do that, right? You can't do that, right? On Amazon, you can buy stuff, right? But I don't know if all the stuff you can buy on Amazon would be directly inside of the Prime Video stuff. I don't know, right? So we have other subscription models, which we talked about in the past, that yes, this is dope. You get to experience different games that you may have never played before on the service, but it's a subscription model that is super successful. Nobody's denying that, but I don't know. It's just weird, but I'm done with that.
Okay.
Cool beans. All right. So next thing we got, let me see. Why is this, oh yeah, selling 10.2 million digital copies in December 2020. Cyberpunk 2077 is the biggest digital game launch of all time, in spite of the current challenges. So before we even continue and go down to the thing, let's go up one, right? So even this week, there was a situation with Microsoft that they were increasing prices on some things with Xbox Live, and the tiers that they were increasing them, really rubbed the entire internet the wrong way, where they had to roll that back, right? And say, you know what? We messed up, blah, blah, blah. There was that. And then they also said that any game that is free to play will be free to play outside of, the being able to go on Xbox Live to play. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to get off the Xbox stuff and the PS stuff, is that I am paying to internet, right? Right? When I already have internet, right? So I didn't want to do that anymore. Not for $60 whatever it was, $120 a year. I didn't want to do that anymore. So now the free to play games are off of that bracket, if you will. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, that was a little bit like, don't ruin a good thing right now. You guys
Right.
Everybody loves you.
Right.
Just take that and run with it. Not try to double down on it and then make it worse.
Right.
Like, yeah. That's what I mean. Like, you had a good thing going for you, and then you had to go and open your mouth and like, here, this is what we're going to charge now.
Yeah, that was weird. I just hit the mic. I apologize if you're listening. My bad. So there's that. Let's do one down and then we'll go up. So let's do Killer Instinct.
Ooh,
Twitch
yeah.
Rivals Killer Instinct, hosted by Maximilian.
That was like, that's actually personal kind of news, but it's actually really cool because for a while now, Killer Instinct, like they had this hashtag of, bring back KI and KI communities, saying that they're one of the best FGC communities out there. I don't know if that's fact. I'm just saying what other people were stating. I don't know if that's fact or not. So there's this whole announcement that happened yesterday on Twitch Rivals that they are going to be hosting a 32-man tournament for Killer Instincts, and my boyfriend was invited for it.
Nice. Congrats.
So that's huge, and that's fantastic. And there's so many people like looking at it, and the fact that everybody just loves Maximilian, dude, just like kind of blew up about it. So there's so many people that are stoked. Then you have Berserker Mike, who's one of the original announcers for the game. He's actually coming back, and I guess he's going to be a part of it, which is really cool. I've gotten to meet Berserker Mike in person through Amazon Game Studios, and I believe he's working on New World right now. Really cool dude. So that's awesome. Of course, my boyfriend is really, really excited. He hasn't competed professionally in KI, in a bit here. But, whenever he pops on the stream on Twitch bringing KI, there's just like this flood of people who just like come in and they're just like reliving their favorite moments, whether it be with, one of their other favorite fighters or him, or different moments of like, yeah, I saw you at Evo do this and I love that. So it's always nice to kind of reminisce about that. So I'm happy for him. I'm stoked that he's getting that opportunity and he gets to be out there again. And yeah, I think the KI community is really, really going off on it.
That game is a dope game, even back in the Super Nintendo days. That thing was amazing, what they've done with that.
Soundtrack, definitely. I'm not really too big on fighters, but KI has had a great soundtrack, even on Super NES. So I kind of wonder if they're just going to have some like big announcement that goes along with it too, because I'm pretty sure they will collectively lose their mind if like a Killer Instinct 2 was ever announced.
Now where is it? Is it on Xbox only? I don't even know. It is Xbox exclusive? Yeah. Okay.
So that's where it is. So that's like a little personal news thing.
No, that's dope. Congratulations. Neil, congrats, man. Do your thing, bro. That's all good. No, that's awesome. All right, so there's that. And last but not least, Resident Evil 8 demo, Daniela.
Yes, I did. I was really quick to download that. It looks amazing on a PS5. Let me tell you that.
Okay, fair enough.
Amazing, which kind of made me nervous. So when I was watching their entire announcement for it and all of those things that day, I was a little bit nervous because they're showing the gameplay and it says like it was PS5 gameplay, but maybe it was just editing, maybe it was like the stream I was watching, but the gameplay looked like it was being played in like 30 frames. It wasn't as smooth as like I thought it should be on a PS5. I'm so glad that was not the experience that I gotta have, because it was super buttery smooth. That being said, it was a bit short. You're going through like the puzzle.
Like 2 chapters? How many? What did they give you guys?
20 minutes.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's pretty short. It's a lot shorter than I thought it was going to be. Yeah, there's no fighting. There's no zombies. I guess you're kind of defending yourself, but yeah, you don't pick up any weapons or anything like that. You're kind of just going through, what Resident Evil, besides the zombies, is also known for is their puzzle elements. So you kind of had a small puzzle to go through. You wake up in this dingy, blood-soaked jail, prison, and you have to kind of get yourself out, which like leads up into the mansion. You got to meet, you come across one of the daughters, which looks fantastic when she's like coming after you. The audio is like,
I would be scared out of my mind.
But I just like, when it ended, I was like, what? That's it? That's all I get?
So it was walking around picking up stuff, right? It wasn't necessarily action based, right?
No, not really.
But it was still terrifying? Suspenseful?
I guess it was suspenseful. I wouldn't say it was terrifying. A little bit of suspense. Little things, little micro jump scares here and there, but it was more of the right place audio coming from the right direction. Like that was amazing. It's just that once it ended, I was like, oh, that's all I get.
Well, it ended for me before I even started, Daniela. So we're good.
So I'm looking forward to playing it.
Great marketing for the game?
Yes.
Okay. What do you mean?
I think it's kind of hard. Like when you have a AAA title like that, and you put it against another AAA title. I mean, I guess it's unfair to compare it to Cyberpunk's marketing. Compared to Cyberpunk's marketing over the last year and a half too, like I don't think there's any other company that can really compare right now or match that.
Do you anticipate your excitement will build after the experience that you had with the demo?
No. I'm already stoked on it. I think the peak of my excitement was when they originally announced it and they start panning and they're showing that little village and then you see it back away and the pan out and then just says village with the 8 and that was I don't think it really freaked me out. I don't think it really like tethered off. I've been interested in it. But I guess I haven't seen as much marketing as I thought they would have put out there. But I've liked what they've done and what they've shown.
Gotcha.
So I'm going to get the game. I really liked the demo. I just thought it was a little bit short. Kind of wish I had a couple of zombies, but puzzle element of it, visuals of it, the sound, I loved it. It's just short.
So things are picking up because we went over an hour today. So things are happening in the gaming space for sure. Any last bits before we close?
I put my 3080 in.
How's that going? Bracket?
Played any PC games?
Wait, what? Repeat that?
Still haven't played any PC games.
Oh, come on now. Like, did you get your bracket or no?
I actually just got that just before we started recording, so I'm gonna go put that in. And
So now it's like a brace that's going to hold it somewhere so it doesn't bounce.
So on the bottom of my PC case has my power supply and the key
Right.
houses
Right.
power supply. So the bracket sits on top of there, and then all it does is just alleviating the weight or some of the weight.
Oh, so it's a platform.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a platform. So it's like it's like a brick. Like, you know, it's like a foundational platform so it doesn't go down.
Yeah, it doesn't say.
Right.
Does it look pretty? Is it going to look pretty inside here? No, it isn't. But I'd rather do that than have any.
You got all that power. You're not. Oh man, you got all that power though. That's insane. Dope. Okay, so when are you gonna play something though?
Oh, I gotta figure out. Oh well, I'm debating right now if I want to rebuy Cyberpunk on PC. I know I have it for my PlayStation. But it's so tempting to buy it a third time and play it on PC. Like,
is it on sale or is it?
No.
Okay.
Too soon to be on sale. Too soon.
Gotcha.
But I'm kind of debating that right now.
All right. Last bits, or are we good?
No, we're good. That's for me.
Okay, guys. Daniela came in hot. Okay, with the topics today. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. This is going to be a hot one. I hope I don't get. I hope I see you again next time, Daniela. After this one. Hopefully there's no crazy person coming after me because they didn't like what I said about whatever. But guys, like, subscribe on YouTube. We do appreciate that. Definitely join the membership on YouTube if you'd like to support and contribute to what we do here for sure. The podcast will be first on Patreon. So right after we're done here, I'm going to upload it on Patreon, and this will come out for I don't even know when next week is. Next week, Tuesday. So we're looking at the 2nd. So this will publish on the 2nd, as well as the podcast will publish on the 2nd for the main feed. All right. So I think that's all I have. Daniela, we are out of here. Have a good night, guys. Take care.
Bye.